Hi, I'm Julie Davis for Blick Art Materials. Our lesson plan today is intended to introduce students to an internationally renowned contemporary sculptor from Poland, Magdalena Abakanowicz. If you're not familiar with this artist, I invite you to stop this video right now and visit her website. There's an extensive gallery and fascinating information about this artist. The inspiration for her work came from Nazi occupation and Soviet domination that she experienced in her lifetime. Her work is inspired by social turmoil and the relationships of people in groups to one another. In her early years, Abakanowicz created soft sculptures, incorporating rough, natural fibers, including burlap and rope. As she continues to work in bronze, her sculptures retain that draping look of fabric and burlap. So today's project, we're going to be creating a burlap figure in the style of Magdalena Abakanowicz. The heavy jute fibers of burlap create deep folds and shadows. As you can see, they provide a vulnerable skin over a wire armature. They're extremely expressive. All right, we're going to start with the armature. We'll be using 12-gauge sculpture wire. This comes on a 350-foot coil. You'll need at least 6 feet per sculpture. It's very easy to work with. It cuts off the coil with scissors. You'll also need a base. I have a piece of black foam board here, cut about 7 by 9 inches. We'll take about a 2-foot piece of the sculpture wire and start by making the legs. I'm going to go to the middle and I'm going to bend to make hips. Then come down a little ways, make a loop to form a foot. Excess wire will then just be wrapped up around. You can continue to make the other foot. I have an example that's already been created. As you can see, the remaining wire has been brought up and even attached here in the hip area. Next, I'm going to place the legs onto the base. As you can see, I've already put holes where I want the feet to lie in the base. To do this, I used a pointed awl. If that's too sharp for you, you could use a nail or thumbtack or something to get a hole started and then push the wire through, because we're going to attach the feet to the base. Take a short piece of wire, 3 to 4 inches, and bend it so that you can work the wire down into the hole. We're going to go over the foot, push it down in, and then turn it over and just push it against the base. As you can see, this is a scrap piece of foam board. We would continue to attach the ankle and to attach the back foot. I have a sample right over here that's already been put together. As you can see, I've added a little more wire, taken another piece and wrapped it to give a little strength to the ankles, around the knees, and another layer on the hip area, just to give it a little bit more strength. Next, we're going to be forming the torso area and the shoulders. So we'll take another piece of wire, similar to the piece we just had, judge about the width of the hips, and then bend down to form the shoulders. Okay. I think the shoulders should be about right here. So I'm going to attach this piece to the hips by wrapping it and bringing it up and folding it around. I'll do the same on this side. Sculpture wire is so soft and so easy to work with. And then I would take the excess and wrap it up around to form a little more volume in the chest area and to secure it a little bit tighter. Once again, I'm going to set this aside and show you one that's already been wrapped up around. Okay, you can see where I've spiraled the wire up to give a little more volume to the chest. The last step we're going to do is going to be to attach a head. To make a head, take a length of sculpture wire and create a loop about the circle size that you'd want the head. Then twist the edges around and give it some volume in the other direction, like this. Continue to wrap the wires back around. I do find in order to get a tight fit, sometimes I need to use pliers to get edges to wrap around. So here's a head that's already been made, and I'll just put it right here in the middle of my shoulders, and I have a piece left over that's good for wrapping the head on. I could snip off that extra or just use it, continue to wrap it. Now, we're not going to put arms on our armature here. The arms can be created by the burlap. I'll put that aside. We'll bring out a finished piece here. Okay, now we're ready to apply the burlap. We apply it much in the same way you would paper mache. The first thing we're going to need is some adhesive. I've mixed up some Elmer's Art Paste today. If you're not familiar with Elmer's Art Paste, it's a non-toxic, washable powder that you can mix with water to form large amounts of paste. It's perfect for paper mache. You can put it in an airtight container and store it for a period of time. I've also cut up strips of brown burlap. I prefer to use the brown because it looks more like a sculpture. I'll take the burlap, dip it down into the paste, and then use my fingers to work off as much paste as possible. We're going to try and keep this as neat and tidy as we can. Then you can bring the burlap over and start wrapping your sculpture. It doesn't really matter where you start. You can start by wrapping it tightly if you'd like, as I'm doing with this piece down here. And then just press it in place. Take another piece, and we're going to twist this piece a little bit. It's a good idea to have a lot of newspapers or perhaps garbage bags down to protect your tabletops. Although if you do get glue on your tabletops or on your clothing, it's washable. It will come out. Right, I'm going to attach this up on the shoulder area, like so. Then I'm going to twist it as I bring it down. You could see how this technique could be used to form an arm. Tuck it in here. It takes about 8 to 10 hours for that to dry completely. And once it's dry, the burlap is very crisp. It's still a little flexible. If something comes loose, you could use a little bit of white glue perhaps to glue it into place. But it's very crisp. Now you could leave that as is, but I like to take a little bit of paint and just accentuate some of the highlight areas. I'm thinking about Abakanowitz's bronze castings. And bronze castings would naturally have areas that would have highlights perhaps. So I have some Blick acrylic paint here, Blick acrylic Student Acrylics. Bronze has already been applied to this sculpture, and I'm going to just come in and hit the highlights on a few areas lightly with a little bit of copper paint. This will really enhance certain parts of my sculpture that I want to draw attention to. Like I love this mass of fibers right around the neck. There's a piece that's twisted, There's some loose fibers that have just been applied right here. Reminds me of a scarf, perhaps. We'll turn it around, could hit a little bit of a highlight back in here. Okay, then, as you see, I would paint the base. The glue will naturally drip onto the base. There's really no way to avoid that. So you can go back in and cover the glue spots with a little bit of acrylic paint and blend those in. Well, that's the finished project. A little bit sad. Emotions run deep within the sculpture. If you'd like to read more about this project and see a complete materials list, along with national standards for visual arts education, please visit the PDF on our website page. Thanks for joining us.